All right, welcome everybody to episode 100 of the Productivity Academy Weekly Q&A. You can see I got my background a little bit off, but luckily the costume is in full effect, so wanted to share this with everybody as I had it on earlier today for video, and I was thinking like, man, should I do this? Like, yeah, why not? So, in case you're not sure who I'm supposed to be, since I don't look like him at all, I'm supposed to be Andy from Parks and Rec. If you've ever seen that, you can look it up. It's Chris Pratt from Guardians of the Galaxy and a lot of other stuff. So, anyways, having fun. I'm actually going to head out for a group run. It falls on our weekly group run, and so I'm going to wear this with some running shorts and go out for a run. Should be a lot of fun. But anyways, wanted to say hello and hope that everyone's going to have a great Halloween, or if you're catching this later, hope you had a great one. And for me, this is great. This is episode 100, all right? Got 100 weekly Q&As in the bag, and looking forward to doing more and getting more questions and answering what I can and sharing what's working with me with you. So, real quick, if you're watching this live and you got questions, go ahead and ask them. I'll get to those as I have time. If you are not live, if you're checking this out maybe on YouTube or on the blog, you can always head over to the group and join us live and ask questions. You can find the link down below. And if you're checking this out on YouTube and you want to stay up to date, sadly I'm not always in costume, but if you want to find out more about productivity, time management, automation, team building, all that sort of good stuff, go ahead and click subscribe and stay up to date. So today I've got a few things I wanted to cover. I thought that, being episode 100 would be kind of fun to do a quick review on where things stand, what I still feel is the most important, what I hear the most from people about. And I've got a specific question I want to go over, and then that'll kind of wrap it up because, man, I got Halloween stuff to do. But let's get into it. So it's been kind of interesting, and I'm starting to actually make some changes to my routine. And I think that's normal in the sense of doing this maybe once per year. Or whatever you start to see. For myself, it's about once per year. I start, maybe you find a new tool, or you just start maybe wanting to add some features, or take away features, or kind of contract. But the things that stay the same are the overarching goals, and that's why I advocate kind of having your own framework, and that's why I call it the book I wrote, The Foundation. It's a framework to get results, and it doesn't matter on what tool you're using. You can use Evernote, you can use Notion, you can use a pen and paper, it doesn't matter. That stuff stays the same, and then you can swap tools out, use what's best for you, build your framework around that tool. So, top of the list has got to be, and still is, daily planning. If I could only do one thing to keep myself really productive, to keep myself on task, and to hit my goals, it would be doing a really thorough daily review. And then adding it, so just to reiterate too on that, for those of you who maybe haven't implemented this, or you maybe just kind of check your calendar and that's your daily review, that really means, integrating some stuff from like getting things done, from, taking in all of your input. So if you have sticky notes, all right, if you've got maybe to-do list or Evernote, but whatever it is, you take all of that in and you get it into one central location so that you can deal with it. You can understand what needs to be done and decide what actions to then take. All right, and on top of that, I highly recommend, like I just said, using your calendar, starting to plan that stuff out and saying, okay, well, I've got 11 things on my to-do list today. I've got 3 actual hours that I could put this into. Okay, so what do? You prioritize, right? And then that's where you form, well, what is actually the most important, so that you work on those important tasks that support your longer-term goals. Get that stuff moving, and if you just get in that habit on a day-to-day basis, you start to see real results, all right? And this isn't, certainly I'm not the only person to ever say this, but it's important to reiterate it. I want you to hear it, and I do it to myself daily because it can be distracting to be like, well, I've got this email, I'll just reply to that, or Slack messages, oh, this is fun, I've got, a GIF over here I want to do. And a little bit of that is okay. I'm certainly not saying to not have fun in your life, but realizing that, hey, if you're spending 45 minutes or an hour doing all this other stuff, well, if it's your most productive kind of peak time and you're doing that, then, that's time you don't get back, and you could be really focused in on what it is you want to do, the goals you want to achieve, and getting there, and you don't get that time back. And then also for myself, I just know I'm productive first thing in the morning. I want to really focus in, get that stuff done, so in the afternoon I have more time to myself. I can do some reading. I could go through a course or make some calls, do things like that. Whereas if I, procrastinate in the morning, then that stuff gets pushed out, and then I'm even less likely to do it, but you know how that goes. So daily planning, daily review, I think that is incredibly important. And right behind that would then be the review of some sort. And I say this because it's totally up to you. I do a weekly review. I think that's a really good timeline, I guess, span of time to do it. And that is asking yourself some questions and literally writing them out. The answers to these, what's working well for you? What isn't working so well? And to each of those, trying to brainstorm what are some things that I could do to fix those or to enhance those results. And last but not least, what's some things I could delegate? What are some things I could delete or automate? All right, and just little things. Maybe it's only a 2 or 3 minute task a week, but if you automate that, that's gone forever. And depending on how long that could have gone on for, that literally could be days that you're saving. And that stuff just adds up over time. If you can save yourself 5 minutes a week on something that's recurring, that actually adds up to more than a week of your time in a year. It's crazy. So, really putting some time towards that, even if it's 20, 30 minutes, 45, an hour if you can, and doing a review and going back over and asking yourself again, what is working well and how can I get more results like that? What isn't working well? How can I either fix it or get rid of it? And then what can I delegate, delete, or automate? And just recognizing that, hey, this doesn't have to be, I need to get this huge project off of my list or off of my plate. Like, no, you can just start with those little things because they add up over time. And it's really, really powerful. Let's see, going to check real quick for some questions. Okay. So the last thing I want to say on this is that this works at all scales. I'm not going to go into, okay, do your daily review 6 days a week and then take every other Friday off or anything like that. A lot of this is personal. I highly suggest trying to make this a daily habit even on the weekends. I'm certainly not perfect with this. I aim for that, and I strive for it so that it's just a habit, right? It's not I need to know which day it is and what I'm doing. Try to stick to things that, for me, that's the way it works well, is things that I do on a very regular basis. And then having a backup plan as well, in case I'm traveling. Sometimes I don't have the time or I didn't bring the right equipment with me for whatever reason, or you just find yourself unable to do your normal routine. Then have a backup that you can always do. Maybe it's a mental run-through. You say, I always check these 5 things, or I look on my phone and check my calendar, my email, I clear up my inbox, and I look at my projects list and whatever tool I'm using, no matter what. Something like that, so that you can always stay on top of it. Because when you let those things slide over time, that's when you get into those situations where, again, I hear this from people, you're like, I'm feeling overwhelmed. I've got too many things coming in, or, I've had things, let things interrupt me, and I haven't kept to my routine. And it's just saying, okay, understanding that, hey, sometimes you are going to be thrown some curveballs in life. Have a plan to deal with that. All right. And then last but not least, like I was talking about with doing this on time scales that make sense for you, if you can expand this, that's great. Certainly, if you do a daily review, maybe you could then do a weekly review and just look at a week ahead and do a higher level review, and then from that do a monthly review, and then maybe a planning session, and then 90-day, quarterly if you do that. And so you can apply this at a lot of different levels, and it's not like you're starting over from scratch when you go from I'm doing a daily review. I bet it's going to take that long, to figure out and get in that habit to do a monthly review and a quarterly review. And the answer is it's not. It's actually, you've laid the groundwork by doing a daily review. You understand the process, how you work, what you need to look at. Now you can do this on a little bit bigger scale. There might be some small changes as far as what tools you're using or, again, where exactly you're looking, but the idea is the same. So please put that to use. And, looking back, again, like I said, over 100 episodes, looking back at questions I've answered for people, this really does solve a lot of problems and questions for people, and it's becoming or getting to that point where, a daily review or a daily planning session and then a weekly review is a habit. So then the underlying question is, well, how do I get that habit if I'm having trouble doing this? And I would say that there's 2 really good things you can do for yourself. Is one, recognize the benefits you're going to get. Don't think of this as, okay, this is something else I have to add. I've got to do this, or I struggle and I can't. Think about what this is going to do positively for you, which is all the stuff I've just described. But, if you need it concrete, it's, not missing meetings, right? It's staying on top of your projects. It's hitting the goals you want to. It's reducing your stress. All of that stuff comes out of this, all right? So looking at it that way, and then take the burden off of your shoulders. Don't expect yourself to be a robot or a computer. You're not going to remember this stuff all the time. Set up reminders. If you need to in the beginning, set up too many reminders. Have your phone alarm go off when you're supposed to do your daily review. Maybe get an email reminder if you find yourself in the inbox too much. Whatever it takes to get you in that habit. And then over time, maybe you can crank those down a little bit until you're just getting like a reminder, hey, it's time to do your daily review, something like that. Cool. So hopefully that's helpful. Looking forward to seeing what the next 100 episodes brings, but looking back, I was like, man, yeah, this is definitely the top thing that can get people the best results, with the lowest effort. Which is funny, too, because the exact question was asked was, what daily habits affect productivity the most and why? I really just see that as having the daily routine. So long as you stay on top, it's kind of, to me, one of those things where what gets measured gets managed. And a lot of times where we start feeling overwhelmed is when we jump into work because we feel like we're so busy, we have to get this stuff done. We've got to do this. We got this urgent email. But if we had never seen that email, or we'd never let that interruption come, we probably would have taken the time to sit down, plan out our day a little bit, make sure we allotted time correctly, or said, hey, I've got 5 half-hour projects and I've only got 2 hours. Something isn't going to fit here, or I need to delegate, hand it off, do something else. So I really do just go back to, having that daily planning time is really paramount to getting the most out of your day, and then longer scales as well. So check real quick over here. All right, cool. Well, I think this is going to do it. Like I said, keep this pretty short for episode 100. Got to get out and get some running in here in a little bit and wrap up a few other things. So appreciate it. First of all, thanks to everyone who's asked questions over the last 100 episodes. You can always ask questions ahead of time. If you're watching on YouTube, you can find that link down below. I believe it is productivity.academy/ let me find it real quick. It is questions. All right, productivity.academy/questions. You can ask them ahead of time. I check those out before going live, and we'll answer those, and you can either watch live or check out the replay. So thanks again for watching, and I will see everybody for episode 101.